Welcome to Friday Sews. It's June 7th, 2024, and this is the 20th time I've done this on Janine Sews. Lots of things to catch you up on, a couple of things to show you, chat about Me Made May, and a bunch of plans. In last week's video, I told you about what I learned from Ron Collins when I was making jeans at the sewing retreat a couple of weeks ago. The second project that I took with me to that retreat was one of my TNT t-shirt patterns. I really debated which pattern to take with me, but the one that I felt needed the most help was the Cashmerette Concord tee, which I've made, I think, 3 times. Popping a picture up here of me wearing one of those versions. I just wasn't satisfied with the fit. I didn't like all of the lines, the pulls on the sleeve, at the arm side, over the bust. It didn't feel like it was too small, but I had all of these lines. So that's what I took with me, and I asked for help. Wore the top, and Ron very quickly diagnosed the problem, and that was that, pull up the pattern piece here, the arm side was too short, number one, and I needed more fabric on the front to carry it over because the sleeve was coming in too close here, because I got some extra flesh there. So this is the altered front pattern piece. He added 1/2 inch there, that's a 1/2 inch added here, and then he also added here on the where the bodice meets the armhole. This same adjustment was done on the same place on the sleeve and on the back. This adjustment was done just on the front. I am wearing a version of the top that's been altered, and I think this fits a lot better. Popping up pictures here. It's not perfect. There's still pulling on the one side. I'm probably uneven, and I will likely make a small change to one side before I use the pattern again. I made this version this week with the V-neck. The version that I made when I was at the class with Ron is this one, scoop neck. Isn't this pretty fabric? And this one does not have the change that was made here, adding extra fabric to the bodice, because I'd already cut it out and we were basting and playing around with it. Generally, this is going to be the t-shirt that I make this summer, because I've got options for the neck and there are options for the sleeve. I do have another piece of fabric. I'm going to whip up another one. And when I make the short sleeve version of this, I only need 1 meter of fabric. And that certainly opens up a lot of opportunities, doesn't it? If you see a nice piece of fabric, it's expensive, buy 1 meter, make a t-shirt. So this is the result of time with Ron on t-shirt. Something else he taught me. Most of you probably know this. I did not. When you're doing things like making t-shirts, places where you need to have some precision and you want a nice crisp edge before you sew things, he recommended I use this product, which is Steam-A-Seam. Have you used this before? I had bought this, I had never used it. I had a package of this. This is double-sided tape that is sticky enough that you don't need to press it to have it be effective, but if you press it, then it's a permanent tape. It's very light. I used it on the hem on this one. You can't even tell it's there. It's not like some of the other I'm not going to name names, some of the other products that you use to fuse fabric together. It's super light, very easy to use. And it just helps with precision places where you want to get things to stick well. So I used Steam-A-Seam on the sleeves and on the hem on both of these. Speeded up the process, and I think my hems are a little bit nicer. I do cover stitch them still, but in a pinch you could get away with just using that Steam-A-Seam. Somewhere else he suggested to me that you use Steam-A-Seam when I was making the jeans. I forgot to mention this last week. When I was making the jeans, I asked him about how you could affix pockets before you stitch them. Like, how do you pin them so that they're going to stay in place before you start to stitch them? And he said use Steam-A-Seam. Again, the only downside is you can't unpick it. So if you use Steam-A-Seam, press it, you're not going to be unpicking it like a stitch. It's a helpful tool. One other thing, another one of those tips that we all share with each other. When I was at the retreat, one of the other participants said, oh, if you've got tapes like Steam-A-Seam, and I've got different brands here, put them in a Ziploc bag. Where we live, there's very low humidity and things dry out. So if things are in a Ziploc bag, one could, I suppose, put in a damp paper towel and maybe help reinvigorate some of the qualities of these tapes. A complete aside, I've just discovered La Croix Limoncello water. This is excellent. I think it's going to be the drink of the summer. Last month was Me Made May. I vowed to go through the garments that were in my donate pile and see if I could save 3 pieces. I showed you the pajamas that I turned into a nightgown. The other thing that I had was this top, which was 95% done. I showed you this last time too. All I had to do was move the buttons so they were aligned properly and bind the arm side. And now this is totally wearable. No idea what pattern this was. I think this was from 2018 maybe. I also pulled out a couple of dresses that I was planning to get rid of, and I just put them back in the closet. They were fine. Dresses don't get worn a lot, which is why I think about donating them. And I have done nothing with the 2 skirts that I pulled out. I did wear Me Made every day. I have enough knit tops that I can wear Me Made most of the time, especially when I'm dressed casually at home. The other 2 garments that were worn a lot were my gray jeans and the wide leg casual pants that were made from jegging fabric that I made early in 2023. I just want to give kudos to all of you who managed to post on Instagram or here or on Facebook every day during Me Made May, or even if you take pictures every day and you post once a week. Well done. That's a real commitment. So good for you. The next thing that I'm working on is a woven top. This is fabric that I bought probably a year ago. It's viscose woven. It's got, I don't know if you can see that it actually has, like you can see the weave in it. I don't know what that makes it. It's very drapey, super soft. It's been pre-washed, so it's very soft. And I am trying New Look 6673. I don't have the envelope. I'm going to pop up a picture. Going to make the version that is sleeveless, princess seam top with a peplum. I think it'll drape very nicely. I have altered the pattern to do an FBA. It's just a matter of cutting it out and sewing it up. I think it's going to be a relatively fast little make that will be nice for summer. I've got Ponte that matches in plum. The plan was to make pants. We'll see. I'm not going to wear them. That's the thing. They're not going to be worn. But the top will be. I bought some fabric. I'm not doing very well in my vow to wind up with only 20 meters of fabric at the end of the year. But sometimes I just have to have things. Core Fabrics in Montreal. Never shopped from them, but I like their fabrics. They had a deal last week or the week before where you could get a mystery box, either woven or knit. And as I said, I'd never bought from them before. And they said you would get at least one piece that was at least 2 meters. Because I'm trying to sew more wovens this year, I elected to buy the woven box, and it came this week. I don't do unboxings. I did videotape when I opened the box. I'm going to pop that up here as I go through the fabric that I got. And I was relatively pleased with it. The main piece of fabric is this burgundy double gauze. 2 meters. I have no idea what to do with this, so please tell me, what do I make with this? I don't need a skirt. What would I make with double gauze? I noticed when I was getting ready to shoot the video, these work together. So what would you make with 2 meters of double gauze? So that's the main piece, and then there were several pieces that coordinate with it. These are between half and a full meter. There's this. This feels like, gosh, it's got stretch. Not as much stretch as Bengaline, but this pretty. And there's probably, there's not much here. 1/3 of a meter. There is a meter of this, which feels like it's heavier than poplin, stone color, and there's a meter of this. Everything goes together, of course. There's 1/2 meter of wool, this nice wool. There's 1/2 meter of denim. This would be a nice bag, I think. And then there is a meter of this viscose, which is very pretty. I definitely have different patterns for tops where I could use this. Actually, that New Look one, it might only need a meter. So this one could be a quick summer make. So I'm pleased with what I got. Everything seems to be very nice quality, and it's a Canadian fabric store. Of course, I think they're bigger in the States than they are in Canada. Everything's priced in US dollars. So that I was pleased with that, but again, I don't know what to do with the double gauze, so I would love some ideas. More shopping. Yesterday, I went to Fabricland. And normally I go to one that's like a 15-minute drive. Yesterday I went to a newer one that's a little bit further, not that much further, a few minutes further. And it was so much nicer. I'm going to be making the longer drive. I often see posts and videos from people who say, I got this at Fabricland, and it's really nice fabric. And the one that I normally go to, I can never seem to find anything there. And I think it's the way they have it organized. But this store was really nicely organized, and I found several pieces of fabric that I liked and I wanted to buy. I bought a couple, one I'm not going to show you right now, but I am going to show you this one because it's kind of unique. This is called Society. That's the name of their membership club, Society Satin. And it is, does it say? Doesn't say. I mean, for sure this is 100% poly, I suspect. But it's typical satin. You can hear it. Shiny. Doesn't have a lot of, well, you know, it's not soft. what sold me on it, they had on the display a sample, a piece of this fabric, and it said, washed by hand, tumble dry. And the fabric was beautiful and soft and drapey, but still shiny. So you pre-wash this and it becomes really soft and wonderful for a top or a dress. I'm going to use this, pre-wash this, make it all soft and nice, and I think I'll use this and try that same new look pattern that I just showed you, if I'm happy with it. I wasn't planning to make a fancy dress for Frocktails. This might be really a nice fabric for a Frocktails dress. So that's the method behind my madness for buying this. The other thing, and this is actually what I'm going to work on this afternoon, I have outdoor cushions that are okay. I want some more color in the backyard. We've got a very small yard, but I want a little more color. And you won't believe where I bought this fabric. Outdoor fabric. I got this at Michael's. $16 a meter. So that's like, what, $12 US a yard? It's outdoor fabric. It's not Sunbrella brand. That's fine. I don't leave my cushions outside. I take them in at night. This is perfectly good outdoor fabric at Michael's. Does anybody else remember that Michael's bought the intellectual property for Hancock Fabrics when they closed down? And I've kind of been waiting for them to come out with fabric. And at my local Michael's, which is closer than anywhere else to me, they have a full selection of thread. It's Coats and Clark thread. They've got seam binding. They've got a lot of quilting stuff. They've got interfacing, pins, needles, things like that. And now they've got like this kind of fabric. They don't really have a lot of garment fabric that I was interested in, but I was very happy to see this because it's nice to have another option that's affordable and is close. But this is the next project. This is today's project. I just went outside for a minute before I hit record. And I think I'm going to take my sewing machine outside this afternoon and sew these cushion covers because it's so beautiful out right now. No humidity, nice temperature. There might be an outdoor sewing day today. Which leads me into what else is going on in life. Well, we had the celebration of life for my mom last Saturday. It was very nice. We went up to Forget-Me-Not Pond, which is in Kananaskis country. She used to like to go there for picnics. There was a nice group, of course, family, a few friends. She was 100. She didn't have a lot of friends left. And several people from her church. I saw cousins that I hadn't seen in probably 30 years. And I heard a lot of stories that were new to me about Mum, new to all of us about Mum. Stories from the church, from cousins. And it was exactly what she would have wanted. We are not a very formal family. Mum's style was very much, let's just get together and have a picnic. We'll pick up some Kentucky Fried Chicken. The important thing was that people had something to eat and drink, but that we had time together. And that's exactly how this celebration of life was organized. And it was great. Could have been a little bit warmer. It was a very nice day, and it was a wonderful way to send her off. Next weekend, Calgary Sews Meetup is having its first ever sit and sew day, sew-in day of sewing. Don't know what I'm going to make. I'm not going to take anything overly complicated because we tend to socialize a lot more than we sew. Next Saturday, also, tickets go on sale for Calgary Frocktails. I'll talk about that maybe a little bit more next week. We'll see. I don't know if I'm going to get a video done next Friday with the Frocktails stuff and with the day of sewing. But I will be talking so much more about Frocktails. We would love to have you come to Calgary and visit us and go to Frocktails. I'll post the link here for tickets in the future. Maybe not next week, but early bird ticket sales start on June 15th. If you're interested in following along, go to Instagram and follow Calgary Frocktails, at Calgary Frocktails. There'll be lots more about that in the coming weeks because Frocktails is 3 months from today, September 7th. That's what's going on in my world. I hope you're having a wonderful week. I will see you next week. And if you missed last week's video with the tips from Ron Collins about sewing jeans, you can see it here. Take care. I'll see you soon.